Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. Before we get into anything else, I want to mention this is our last episode before our 10th anniversary. As I've been mentioning every single episode the past couple ones. You guys feel old yet?
Oh boy.
Yes, but that has nothing to do with this blog because I already felt old when we started.
I think
I try not to think too hard about a lot of the year milestones. It gets very distressing. Like we're hitting 10, and it's like it's just a reminder that like Kill la Kill is 9 years old and stuff like that. It's like really try not to think too hard about it.
My worst realization thinking about that time frame was my niece was 3 years old and she's now going to start high school in September.
Oh my god, that's distressing, Jill.
Yeah, so that's my personal feeling old reference of time there for how long we've been doing this, talking about anime, writing about anime, watching hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
One might say you are the uncle from another world.
Oh, we'll save that for next season talk. But yes, go ahead, Aqua.
I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching lots of anime for way longer than I have been for this blog.
I mean, yes, I think a lot of us can.
Yes.
Look, some of us have been around since the Toonami days, right? Like it's been a long.
Back in my day, anime used to be about swords and robots and ditties.
We are literally talking about a new Trigun anime. Some of us got into anime by watching the old Trigun anime.
Right.
There is.
Well,
it's.
I'm sure we'll have some more things to say about our 10-year anniversary here when we have a moment. But for now, we're going to be sticking to the script here. I know we've got a lot of other crazy things going on in the anime world with new shows starting and wild Anime Expo news coming out this weekend and whatnot. But we do need to tie a bow on the spring season and give our final thoughts on the many shows we ended up watching last season.
Yeah, pretty packed season, and I feel like we're not necessarily going to be singing the praises of all the shows on this docket, but you can say this about us. We watched them to completion.
Yeah, and, maybe the legacy is going to be this is perhaps one of the best comedy seasons of anime of all time, because there was a lot of solid to extremely good comedies that aired this past spring. So,
for one reason or another, a lot of laughable shows on this list.
It's positively ridiculous.
So, before we get into all that discussion, let's just introduce everybody. I'm Jel, joined by Iro.
I'm not dead yet.
Still with us. We're joined by G.
I really want to do a bit here about RRR, an Indian film I watched yesterday, but we don't have enough time with all the final thoughts we have to do this podcast, so I'm just going to say that movie's real good, and
it's certainly a wild ride.
And maybe the Indian film industry is our best hopes for the truest, most accurate Mario and Luigi RPG adaptation we could hope for.
That is not the direction I was expecting that to go.
They seem to have the tech. They seem to have the tech there for making it happen. And
Okay.
I'm just saying that if, Illumination decides to make a second Mario movie after this Chris Pratt one, that maybe they should get in contact with some of the folks in Tollywood.
Okay. I was not expecting that one, but sure.
Wait, Tollywood?
Yes. We don't have time to get into this.
All right.
So what you're saying is that Japanese media is tired, Korean media is wired, and Indian media is inspired.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
All right. Well, we'll save that for our movie spin-off podcast, right? But all right. We're also joined by Aqua.
I am positively ridiculous.
And hey, we got you on for a second time in one season.
taking time out of my busy schedule of not watching anime.
of what? Achieving the millennial dream of home ownership.
Yeah. Sorry, fellas. I'm joining the other side now.
Damn, you hate to see it.
I'm gonna watch HBO Max Prestige Television now. I've graduated from anime.
Aqua's gonna be a NIMBY in no time.
Oh man. Well, it was fun while it lasted. All right, let's wrap up our spring season shows here then, and we're gonna start with the what's hot with all the kids, geopolitics, our geopolitical power hour.
Yeah.
And perhaps the merciful end of Kyoukai Senki.
Yep.
Not getting a season 2.
And yes. It does not seem to be getting a season 2 as of this recording.
The absolute best news.
Famous last words.
The absolute best news of this season.
I chose my words carefully.
The absolute best news of this season, this anime season, was Birdie Wing getting season 2. But the second best news of this anime season was Kyoukai Senki not getting a season 2.
You are free from your mental prison.
Yes.
For now.
For now. Don't worry. You know, there's
until
always
the next Gundam comes out. But
there's always a new, even worse mecha anime on the horizon for us to look forward to.
We already paid the price of smiles.
But yeah, Kyoukai Senki. So the thing I'm going to say about Kyoukai Senki is I want to talk about another anime first to kind of put things into context. And that anime is Gundam Seed. Gundam Seed was the mecha anime that almost single-handedly destroyed my interest in the mecha genre and kind of made me stop watching mecha for at least a solid 2 to 4 years after it aired.
Which is when the next mecha anime was produced.
You know what? Probably right. I really don't like Gundam Seed. There is almost no redeemable trait about it, other than maybe a couple of its EDs. But there is one thing I took from Gundam Seed that I have kept in my heart ever since, and I like to call it the Gundam Seed floor. What I mean by that is that I maintain my sanity as a mecha fan by believing and convincing myself that I have lived through the worst that the mecha genre will ever experience in the history of its existence. That mecha will never, ever again be as bad as Gundam Seed. And this has largely proven true, actually. I have watched a lot of bad mecha anime in the years since, and none of them have gone deeper than the Gundam Seed floor.
None of them
bedrock.
have gone below the floor.
Yes. Kyoukai Senki is maybe the closest we have gotten to the floor since Noah 0. You know what? You want to put my Bandai. You want to put my quote on your DVD box? Here it is. Kyoukai Senki is negative space. It is the absence of substance given form. It is a complete void of a show, like an absolute black hole. Like no light can escape from it, and anything that enters it is never seen again. I have never seen a show just like so fundamentally fail in like every aspect it attempts. Like the only thing remotely notable about it is, look, it's got some surprisingly cool robots. There's a wow cool robot factor to it. But like, I don't know, Iro, as someone who watched this show with me, like
watched quotation marks.
I think you can agree that like, whether it was the geopolitics or the characters, the dialogue, like, hell, even like, the animation itself, it's just a fundamentally just like overall subpar show in every conceivable manner. It's I don't know. It's kind of astounding this thing exists.
They couldn't even give you like a cool fight at the end or something.
No, like not even really. In fact,
this is a show I will be content to just immediately forget and then never think about again.
1 year out, one year in, 1 year out.
Like, we still joke about the price of smiles.
Yeah,
because the price of smiles had,
the big ass rat.
Right,
a handful of big ass elements that we remembered.
Right, like they killed their seeming protagonist in like the first episode, right?
I didn't remember what happened in the last episode of Kyoukai Senki until I pulled up the last episode while we were having this conversation.
I actually do want to talk about the last episode because it's fucking dog shit. Like, the best thing about the last episode is I started getting giddy. And the reason I started getting giddy is because, as Iro can attest, I was like, Iro, look! They're doing a really poor job of wrapping up all these subplots. Don't you know what that means? They're not leaving any hanging threads, which means this is the last episode. They're trying to end the story here.
Hooray!
Like, all these characters are, like, their overarching subplots are getting wrapped up in the clumsiest, shittiest way imaginable. That means they have no interest in continuing the story.
Right.
And speaking of the characters, like, I gotta really give a shout out to how fucking bad the main villain of Kyoukai Senki is, Captain Brad. So Captain Brad is introduced as sort of your Char-style rival from America.
But he's American,
He's initially introduced as like a committed soldier and a, blah, 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 true believer in the American way. He's kind of shown to be this, like, he's initially introduced as like this weird mech, like, Columbo savant, where, like, he can, like, look at, like, the foot tracks of a mech and then, like, recreate the battlefield in his mind's eye or something.
Sure.
But then by the end of season 1, he becomes, like, the shady secret keeper of a malevolent super AI. And then, like, he tries to become dollar store big boss. Like, his motivations and personality literally shift from episode to episode to suit whatever type of villain is needed to be thematically appropriate, in any given week. Like, if this show had a filler episode, like, where the heroes needed to win a baking contest, Captain Brad would have shown up to explain that actually, baked goods are the core of any successful civilization, and that he would need to beat the Japanese to prove the superiority of Western baked goods, like, only for this facet of his personality to disappear by next week. Like,
man, season 2 of Yakutaka in Japan looking great.
It's just like, like, one episode he's like a warmonger, the next episode he's like a spy, the next episode he's like... It's just like... I've never seen a show so blatantly, like, push all of its, like, necessary components for conflict and a villainous or even an antagonistic opposition to the heroes all get, like, clumsily shoved into a single character, like,
I was gonna say,
into a car.
As opposed
you
to,
could
like,
make that multiple characters, right? Like, you don't have to make it
but
one
they
character.
don't, because they it's like they realized halfway through, oh, we have only one notable villain.
Right. The other, like, dudes are not interesting.
This sounds like Gitsha writing. Like, this is like Swiper the Fox or, like, Robin Rotten or something like that.
And that gets, and Aqua, that's the thing, that gets at the most confounding part about Kyoukai Senki, is it's a show that, like, the reason I call it a void is because it is completely bereft of a concrete identity. Like, is it a kids show? It's got kid mascots. It's got, cute animal mascots, and the character designs are very, like, kids show. Is it but is it a war story? Because it occasionally talks about geopolitics, like how, multiple countries have balkanized Japan because it serves as a convenient, like, buffer state. But, like,
or is universe, but whatever.
Right, I know, right? It's just like it is. Is it a story about naked Japanese nationalism? I mean, well, yes to that one, but it's all over the place. It just constantly can't seem to decide actually what kind of story it wants to be, and as a result, it's not even a master of none. It is like a, I don't know, like not even a jack of all trades. It's
a jack of no trades.
Yeah, it's like a two of all trades
just
or something. I don't know.
A jackass.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's just like there's nothing to the show, right? Like, yeah, again, The Price of Smiles gave us the tactical big ass ramp. Grand Belm had Anna Fugo, who did nothing wrong. 86 had its portrayal of small unit tactics. Sakugan had Big Tony.
Big Tony.
Getter Robo Armageddon told us that the past and the future can go eat shit.
Yep.
But
there's
Kyoukai
just
Senki-
literally nothing with Kyoukai. There's no
Nothing.
quotables.
Not
Nothing.
a single damn thing.
Yeah.
It's
Do you think this is maybe that they tried to make a show that had universal appeal? Like they tried to make like a family show that both kids and their dads could enjoy? Like sort of inspired by the
Like-
Gundam franchise, but completely failing to do so?
I could actually see that to an extent, right? Because I mean, I'm not delusional. The original Gundam is a toy commercial as much as it is a war story.
Yeah.
Kyoukai
Right, 'cause
Senki.
it's just a toy commercial.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not even necessarily a good one because, well, I mean, it is because I do own a Kyoukai Senki Gunpla kit.
Oh well, there you
but,
go.
like, look, it's a cool robot, okay? Like, but I just don't know because it's because I guess the thing is like I think the thing I feel with the original Gundam is like it is a toy commercial in the sense that these robots are gleefully placed in front of you, trying to entice you to buy them. But the actual meat and potatoes of like the plot lines themselves and what the characters say to each other is still like very much not necessarily oriented towards an adult audience, but it is oriented towards a more
Sophisticated.
There are actual like mature themes and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
going
yes,
on. Right?
yes,
It's not
that's
just
a good way to
like-
put it.
It's not just go punch the bad guy, right?
Right.
Mm.
And yeah, I guess I really don't know what they were setting out to do with Kyoukai Senki. Like I think that's the thing. Like I'm not saying, look, I don't want every mecha anime to be a Gundam. Like I really don't.
I mean, not
But there's
even
definitely-
every Gundam is a Gundam.
Right, but there's definitely a part of me that looks at Kyoukai Senki and is almost like, if you just put these resources towards making a Gundam,
It'd be a way better use of them.
it couldn't have been worse than Kyoukai Senki at least. I mean,
I don't
Like,
know, man. They could have just made this exact show, except call it like Gundam something something Warrior at the Borderline. Like,
Yeah.
But Iro, don't you see? But you see, because I don't know if you've seen it, Iro, but I think I've seen the light with Kyoukai Senki in a ways. Because do you know what Kyoukai Senki represents?
The new floor.
Yes, we have a new floor for the GLORIO era. It used to be
Hooray.
Gundam Build Divers. Our old rule used to be that, well, if it's not worse than Gundam Build Divers, we gotta watch it to
Well.
completion.
Whatever.
Now that we watched Kyoukai Senki to completion, think of how many more bad mecha anime we can watch to completion now.
Yeah.
is there anything?
The world is our oyster.
Is there anything more 2022 than? Well, I guess the previous worst thing ever wasn't actually the worst thing ever because this new thing is the worst thing ever. But surely there will be no new worst thing ever, right?
Surely nothing will be this bad
I mean,
ever
but-
again.
Iro, we saw this in action because remember, there was a time when Kyoukai Senki and 86 aired in the same season, and then we liked 86. An anime we
that did
previously
happen?
didn't like.
You're right.
Just by comparison.
Kyoukai Senki now allows us to like more anime.
grade everything.
Great.
Grade everything on a
My
curve.
yeah, sure.
I've got one last question.
My
though.
standards are lowering faster than my mind is deteriorating. You're right.
Same thing.
Aqua,
So what are you
you
gonna
had
say,
it.
Aqua?
I got one last
Yeah.
question. It's just you mentioned that they wrapped everything up really hastily. Did they pull the plug on this? Was there supposed to be a third core?
Who
No,
knows?
I don't. I don't. I will say this about the last episode. Like, there is enough budget put into it that it doesn't feel like the story of or the narrative content covered in the last episode does not feel like it was invented out of nowhere. I think it is left like just slightly open-ended enough that I don't think they were planning on a season 2, but they leave the door just ajar enough that had Kyoukai Senki become the like next mega hit for Bandai,
They could have done more easily.
they could have done more. Yes,
Right. Yeah.
All right.
but I'm glad they didn't. Let me be
That's,
clear.
Yes.
As far as we know.
Yes.
Let's we can now move on and pretend that show never happened.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Let's move on to the second half of the geopolitical power hour and talk about Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which again, this is going to be continuing for years to come. So really, this is just a where did we leave off?
Another stop on the road.
Like, I'm
Another
honestly
stop on the
pretty
road.
Pretty surprised they're in this for the long haul. Like they're
It kinda
actually
seems
gonna
like
do
they
the
are.
entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it would be. I mean, it's like the thing of like they could have stopped at the first season, but now that they've kept going, it's like, well, you can't stop now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like well, where did we and where did they cut it off? Basically,
This is the
point.
craziest fucking thing. It is.
Not
This is
unlike
insane.
the first season of the show.
Wait. Okay. I'm just double checking. The OVA does not end season 2 on the cliffhanger, right?
No,
Like
I'm
it-
saying the very first
Oh,
season of
yes.
D&T ended on a cliffhanger.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. They literally end D&T on Yang getting back to Geiersburg.
Mm-hmm.
oh well,
Like-
the fight's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
their
that's a
big
choice.
cliffhanger is like
Like
what?
Kempf just said,
Yeah.
"I think I have to ram Iserlohn with Geiersburg,"
Oh,
and then
that's
it
a
just
choice.
ends.
Right.
Okay.
It's kind of.
Definitely one of those. Well, I guess we ran out of episodes.
Yes. This is another one of those things, not unlike Digimon Adventure Tri, where in Japan it is being released as like
Movies,
movie
yeah.
form, and then is being recut in some fashion for broader release on Crunchyroll. And
Right.
it's a really weird place to cut, I think.
I would agree.
That makes it even weirder in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah, because if this is what a movie ends on, that's even weirder than it
Right,
being ended on a
like-
television
right.
episode.
It's like right before the climax of this entire space battle, and well, yeah, I don't understand why you would cut it there.
Right, because, like,
even
in a
if
lot of-
you're making more for sure, it's just like, what's the fucking point?
It's very strange because Geiersburg is kind of meant to be the release valve for season 2. Like,
Right.
you know, for those familiar with the original, you know, legendary 1988 science fiction OVA, like, Yang is dragged into the, you know, his Inquisition, right? The Inquiry, where he has to deal with all these, like, shit-heel, pencil-pushing bureaucrats needling him about the most, like, pointless minutiae and questioning his patriotism and his commitment to democracy. And then Geiersburg is kind of meant to be the release valve of, like, man, like, this democracy sure is falling apart. Do you want to go watch this man just, like, murder literally 1 million fascists? And the answer
Right.
is, yeah!
Yeah, we do.
And
And yeah.
so it's this weird thing of season 2 ends on, well, we just murdered about 200,000 fascists. There's about 800,000 to go. And it makes it a very weird place to end it thematically. It's like, I don't want to just go as far as say it feels like it's blue balling you, but it's
yeah.
it's very odd because you don't get a climax is really the thing. Like it just ends. And
Yeah.
I think also very funny is Crunchyroll's version still has the next time. Well, next time.
Oh
You know,
yes, yeah.
Fortress vs. Fortress Part 4, the conclusion, and then
Right,
and
it's
then
like-
2 weeks later, I'm like, hey, 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, that was the last episode of the season.
Right.
It's like with Birdie Wing.
No, it really feels like they pulled the Birdie Wing of Part 4. See you next year.
Yeah. Do we know when it's coming back?
I'm not sure.
No
I know
clue.
that it will
Have
be. They've put out trailers.
They never
and
really
stuff.
like. They don't really announce that very far ahead of time, right? It just
No,
like,
it's
hey, we're back.
yeah. So the movies will air, and then eventually
yeah.
we will hear about the TV rebroadcast.
That's the thing, right? Because the TV rebroadcast is sort of dependent on when they air the movies, and that's a whole like
Right.
other
So it
can of
might-
worms. Like,
It might not be for like the rest of the year, right? Like it might
Could be.
I guess.
into January
So
or something.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
weird situation. I mean, you know, D&T itself is still
Yeah.
you know enjoyable for the reasons that The Legend of the Galactic Heroes is an enjoyable story.
Mhm.
You know, you've probably heard us harp on it enough times at this point, but you know,
No, tell me more.
It's well, I have a podcast for you,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's
So the next block of movies will be this fall.
okay,
So
Okay.
probably next year then.
yeah,
Probably
either
beginning of
fall or
next year.
winter for the next season, I would assume.
Yeah,
It sort of depends on how Crunchy negotiates those rights, right? Like,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah, it could also get that they get the rights to the movies and like cut them up themselves or something, like they did with Try.
Huh. I guess so. Yeah.
Hmm.
I wonder how that works, but yeah. I don't. Long story short, it's still that story. It's still those characters. It's still those themes, and you know, I again, right? You know, I think the OVA still tends to do it a little bit better than DNT, but I think DNT is still a fine portrayal of that story.
Yeah. And I guess in this case, it's not like there isn't a 30 to 40-year-old version of it that exists that you would know what's going to happen anyway, right? So like, it's a cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger, but also like it's out
You
there,
know,
like
right,
you know,
like-
right, like
Like the
Yeah.
question that always comes to mind with this kind of stuff is like, when you already have a very well-regarded, almost untouchable adaptation, why make a new one? Like, what's the point?
yeah. We got into this
Some
pretty
people
heavy
just don't
I
want
think
to watch
couple
old
episodes
stuff.
ago.
Yeah.
Some
I think
kids out there will look at hand-drawn animation and say, "That looks so old."
Look, I'm not gonna blame the children entirely because I think I think we
You're
said
right,
we
we
talked
should
about
blame
this
their
last time when
parents.
Zig asked, but like I think it really is just it is an old show and some people just don't have a taste for it, right? Like
Yeah.
I think the original Gundam is legitimately hard to watch. It's
Mhm.
Yeah.
old as hell, man. It doesn't look great in a lot of spots. And
Yeah.
and the OVA, the 1988 OVA doesn't necessarily look that rough, but it is an older story. It is a bit of a drier story in some regards.
Yeah.
But is this version less dry?
Well,
It's
at least
prettier.
yeah. Visually,
it's-
there's a
it's
shiny
more
coat of paint.
bombastic, I guess.
There's a
yeah.
shiny coat of paint on it, as particularly with like the action and stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like maybe the character work is maybe a bit drier, but
Like, in
think I
my
would-
impression,
actual,
this
like-
feels like a more clinical, distant version of the story. Than
yeah, like
the
but the actual like space battles feel much more like fleshed out
Dynamic.
and
Yeah.
dynamic, and it,
I guess
it
having
gives you a
someone
much
on
better.
the soundtrack instead of stock classical music also works.
I don't know. I miss the classical music. I
Oh,
really
that's not a
Yeah.
criticism.
like,
I'm just saying
yeah,
that
like,
sure
it
helps
does-
making it flashy.
I truly do miss hearing Bolero play as we just
Oh, I love
murder
Bolero from
fascists
Digimon.
by the
Yeah, that-
fistful.
There's a mood to the original OVA
Yeah.
that is very difficult to recreate, but yeah.
I
Or
think
just
when
class.
you're talking about source material that old, I don't think there's necessarily anything against doing a new take because it's been long enough that you can sort of distance the two. Like
Yeah.
DNT does not like invalidate the OVA, right? It's been so long, right, that the two might as well be their own entirely separate interpretations.
This is like a David Lynch Dune versus Denis Villeneuve Dune
That's
situation.
actually not a bad comparison in a lot of ways. Like Villeneuve's Dune is less weird, it's maybe less personal,
Right.
but there's also a polish and a style to it
Right.
that is hard to deny.
That's sort of what I was going for. Like the
Yeah.
like the David Lynch Dune. It's the OVA has a kind of like wacky personal edge to it, whereas the more modern version is more clinical and sort of like distant, but also more flashy.
Yeah, I believe that's fair.
Looks
So,
like a
I don't know.
perfume commercial, as people have sometimes called it.
Yeah, wow, that is very accurate.
Boy, but yeah, I guess we'll look forward to more DNT next
Yeah.
year.
All right, we do got to keep it moving here. So let's talk about Dance Danseur.
So how did this one wrap up?
So I talked a lot about how I hate the main guy, and I still do.
Yes.
So perhaps mercifully, the final stretch of episodes focuses on the other two main characters a bit more, which I actually liked quite a bit.
Wait, so with the other two main characters, you mean the rival and the girl?
Yes.
Okay, so the girl is actually a main character. Because
Yes.
usually Usually in
She is
stories
billed-
like this, she's like the designated love interest and then doesn't do anything.
That's kind of what has happened up to now, but she has
Right.
been technically billed as one of the main characters. And
Okay, sure.
so they get into their backstory, which is connected because they are half cousins, which I think is the best term for what they are.
Huh. Okay.
Distant relatives, but
well,
not too
it's not-
distant.
Not that distant. So it's this. They have the same. The connection is they have the same grandmother, which means their mothers are half sisters, which makes them
Yes.
half cousins. Same grandmother, different grandfather. And yeah, if I think probably my favorite thing that the series does is they do develop the characters with a lot of like layers and nuance to them. So like even the main guy, he's annoying and everything, but there is nuance to him. Like you can see how he got to be who he is and where he's going, and even if I don't like him, it makes sense, right?
Sometimes he faces consequences for his actions.
Yeah, and you can kind of understand. If we give him a little bit of a pass for being a 14-year-old boy and the upbringing that he had, it kind of makes sense.
Right.
And this was very badly needed for these other two characters, and they do a good job of it. I guess my only thing is this doesn't happen until like the last like 3 episodes,
Right.
and they get into they get into their backstory, and like they've kind of hinted a little bit about the other guy who apparently was raised by his abusive grandmother, and they get more into detail of that. It gets pretty dark in some spots actually, but it works pretty well in finally kind of developing his character. And the other girl, it was like her mother was trying to get custody of him, but it took like years for that to happen, so she would like sneak in and hang out with him when they were kids. And they basically come to the conclusion of like their relationship is like so much stronger and more important than whatever's going on with Junpei, the main guy, that like
Right.
that's even though things kind of got shooken up. If you remember last time I was talking about how like the main guy sprung the confession on the girl and tried to kiss her and all that, and it seemed like they were going to start dating or whatever, and they kind of just like realized, oh no, that's that's not really what
This is not
anybody
meant to be.
actually
Yeah.
this is not what anybody actually wants. They were just kind of like caught up in the moment, right? And like the other two have this actual like real relationship built over years of time.
He's still gonna end up with the girl, though. Like,
Well,
main character
here's
is
the
still gonna
here's
end
the
up
thi-
with her.
here's the problem. Well, here's one of many problems, but here's the final problem. The show just ends. It's 11
Oh.
episodes. They do the backstory, and the conclusion is, it's not going to work out with the main guy. And he's like, well, I'm going to then just go off to this other fancy school that I got the scholarship from and, part ways with them. And
Well, the manga's still ongoing, though.
yeah, and so it's interesting. It's definitely a how do you adapt manga to an anime question, or probably several questions here. For one, like I said, I feel like this background story needed to happen a lot sooner if you were going to end the story in 11 episodes. And I can see how in the manga this would still be fairly early in the story and it would make
Right.
sense. But in an 11 episode anime, like, okay, now I care about these characters in episode 10 and 11, and then we're just going to end the episode 5 minutes, end the series 5 minutes later. Like, I don't know if there was some way to adapt at least parts of this earlier so that I could start to care earlier.
Yeah.
And then there's the ending, which is like, as far as I've seen so far, there's been no announcement of a season 2 or anything like that. So like this is for now the ending.
I think that's a problem when you're adapting a manga, especially a shonen manga. Or at least like with shonen manga, I mean a manga that is in like that ecosystem of the weekly shonen magazines, which are very organic things that constantly change and shift based on editorial decisions and on
Right.
reader input. And then when you just
Yeah.
adapt something like that from the start and you just literally tell the story the way it is told in the manga, it's going to look very weird. Especially
Yeah.
within the framework of an 11 episode anime where you're supposed
It
to
almost
have a
becomes
beginning and
like-
an ending.
it almost becomes like this is a commercial to read the manga, right?
Right.
More so
I
than
think-
a
I mean,
yes,
standalone.
because that's what it is.
That
Like,
is yes. That
Yeah,
is.
I mean, I know in practice, yes, that's really what it is. But, it's a question that doesn't always have a good answer of like, do
Right.
you bend the story to fit the time that you have and try to make something that's good as a standalone product, or do you say, look, there's no way we can really patch this without totally rewriting the story? We're just going
That's
to
the
tell
thing,
what we
right?
can tell.
you need a director with some kind of artistic vision. Like I always think of Wandering Sun, where they start like 30 chapters into the manga and then only adapt the most important part,
Right.
arc. Like the manga starts in elementary school, but they only adapt the middle school portion of the manga for the anime.
Yeah.
So, but that's a
And
rare occasion, of course, because like usually as director you don't get much to say. You know, some big wig
Yeah.
from a publisher will say you're gonna make an anime out of this, you know, and
and
make sure
I
people
could
want to
see
read the manga.
it's hard because I can see why they chose to hold back. Like, there's plot reasons why their backstory comes out, and without those plot reasons, they would have to like invent another reason to talk about it, right? So I could see why it's a tough decision to do that. I just feel like if I'm judging this as a standalone piece, 11 episodes of an anime, it feels very incomplete.
Right.
But it is a little frustrating because I do see some like really nice pieces developing, and we just don't have time to do that now. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, overall, I have kind of mixed feelings, I think, on the series. There are a lot of things like the character work and everything, a lot of nice pieces, and I feel like maybe it just doesn't work as an 11 episode anime. So maybe it's, people should check out the manga instead. I don't know.
Are you gonna tune in if this returns for a second season?
I might. I would at least give it another couple episodes. I think it has the potential to go in interesting places, and I do think it has done enough. Like, it's built up enough goodwill with me to where I would at least give it a chance.
Because that's
But
always an
whether-
important question to me. Because if you're like,
Yeah.
that's the perfect litmus test of do you still care after all this time? To see what happens to these
part of
characters
me
again.
part of me still cares enough
Yeah.
to where I would be willing to give it some more time. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know how popularity wise it's done or whatever. All we know for now is that there is no announcement, but maybe there will be at some point. Who knows? They don't always announce these things immediately
Yeah.
after a show ends. So
Turns out there's a lot of bureaucracy involved. Like,
yeah. So we'll see. All right. Well,
Boy.
speaking of something that is not ending, unfortunately.
Yeah, and speaking of a show that just does sort of just stop. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say it ends.
They announced
it's
second
just-
half, right?
Yeah, well, we do.
I mean,
we
yes,
do
it
know.
was always
Guys,
going to be split core.
we
but-
gotta maximize engagement by dropping the new series in two halves, so
Yeah,
you can
let's talk-
binge both halves. You
let's
know
talk
what?
about-
I think that in the future Netflix is going to come up with a revolutionary new system where they drop an entire season, one episode per week at a
Oh,
time,
wow.
to
Tell me
maximize
more.
engagement, so you can binge one episode every week.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the future, people. I'm telling you.
Well, let's tell everyone what we're talking about. We're talking about Tiger and
Yeah.
Bunny Part 2, Season 2, whatever it's called. So,
Oh, Joe,
all right. All right. So, we have long been predicting that this was
the
going to
drop would happen.
I thought the drop happened last time.
It,
It w-
did, and it kept dropping.
It was like, last time it was like they were climbing over the edge and like dangling
Right.
their feet.
You were like, "Oh, this is
And-
like the standard turn to plot stuff." In
And
this show
now
about
now
creepy
they
stuff.
have let go of the ledge.
Right. And now it's where
Yeah.
you realize where, oh no, this is not just the standard plot
And
stuff that I don't want. This
it's
is
like it's
bad.
yeah, and it's not
Like-
like Tiger and Bunny even like jumps off the cliff or like does a pose.
It kind of like
Or, like,
backs
even-
down a little bit and like
It just kind
like
of like
scurries down a little bit and then lets go. Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of like slumps over and then just lets gravity take it. Like
Yeah.
it's
It doesn't so much
unbelievably
jump the shark as it crashes into the shark.
yeah, it's unbelievably disappointing
wish-
how
I
much
wish they
Tiger
jumped
Bunny...
the shark, but
Yeah,
it was...
jumping the shark would have been more interesting because Tiger and Bunny Season 2 once again falls into the classic trap it has always struggled with of the main villain gets introduced and the story sort of doesn't know what to do with itself anymore. And
Yeah.
this is further exacerbated by the last batch of episodes of this half of Tiger and Bunny really suffer from like budget or time or manpower issues. Like it looks bad like all around, both the 2D and the CG. Like the thing you could say about the original Tiger and Bunny is like for its time the CG was fairly decent.
Yeah.
And they at least leaned into it and embraced it. And here it all just kind of doesn't look very good.
That's weird. I mean, because this is a Sunrise joint, right? This hardly happens with Sunrise.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Sunrise, let's not pretend Sunrise look.
All of the money went to Kyoukai Senki.
Well, let's
All
be
of
real.
the money went to Birdie Wing.
I don't know. Look, okay. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna be real. I don't know where Sunrise's money is going. I actually don't know. I know they have a lot of money.
Making giant Gundam statues.
I think it's going to the 1/1 Gundam. I think that's where it's
Yeah.
going because I don't know. Like Kukuru's Doan's Island, which we watched the other week, did look good. I will give it that. But it still relied on CG, and the 2D sections looked immaculate, which had us wondering why didn't the whole movie just animate in 2D?
Because all the 2D sections were done by Yasuhiko personally, and that dude's
Yes,
old
I know.
and busted.
I know the man's like 79 million. I get it, but like,
All right,
yeah,
so
I don't
Tiger and
know
Bunny.
because all of the Sunrise shows have like weirdly low budget this season.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah,
Tiger
so-
and Bunny.
Yeah, I mean, on top of it looking bad, though, like, the plot is also bad. Like,
Right,
it's...
the plot is bad. Like, so for a brief summary, the plot has basically been that these two twins that we've called Adam and Eve,
They're literally Adam and Eve from Nier Automata,
you know,
right?
uh,
Adam and
you
Eve
know.
/ Hansel and Gretel from Black Lagoon /
Sure,
the two
that-
twins from Blockade Battlefront,
Yes,
mysterious
very-
white-haired twins.
Yes, the anime loves that shit, right? And so they're basically going around beating the shit out of all the superheroes in the world, right? And it's like, oh, what are they up to? And it's connected to, like, the Ouroboros, which is this overarching plot conspiracy from Season 1 that also wasn't very good back then. And the thing that's really frustrating about it, because, again, it leans into this Ouroboros conspiracy, like they're like the Illuminati of this world or something, is like, it just ends up serving as a, like, catch-all reason for why the villains are doing villainous things, but as a result uses it as a crutch so they never have to give actual motivations to the villains.
Yeah, there's literally no
villains
reason why
themselves.
any of this is happening.
Like the evil twins, they're asked, like, why are you doing this? And they're just like, because we were told to, and then they just beat up the heroes. It's like, that's it, huh? Oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
They do the thing of, like, they take out a bunch of the heroes out of commission because one of the villains has the ability to petrify people. So instantly, like, the most likable members of the cast get removed for the end of the season. So all that's left are Tiger, Bunny, and the new generation of heroes.
Of course.
And the new generation of heroes suck.
Yes,
and I
as
don't
we have
mean
long established. Yes.
like I don't even just mean they suck as characters. They suck as heroes.
Yes, they're actually
like-
bad on screen. Yes,
Like they I'm sure she's trying her best, but Magical Cat just kind of sucks. Like, she drops the ball every
I don't know
time.
how they
they-
allowed her to get
to
on
be
the
a hero?
superhero team.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if she just, like, lied on her resume or something. But it's
Because
like
her thing is, like, so she has, like, water powers, right?
Yeah,
but-
she's a waterbender.
But whenever she gets into, like, actual action, she gets too scared to use her power. And I'm like,
Right, because they're tied to her emotions or something.
and I'm like, this didn't come up before you sent her out to fight bad guys. Like,
Also, she's a 12-year-old girl.
yeah, she's
so,
also like a
like-
12-year-old girl who gets punched a lot in this.
Yeah, they really like
I'm
beat her
surprised
up
how
a
often
lot.
she got punched.
It's a little weird. I guess it's almost like it's equal opportunity ass beatings. I guess. I mean,
I also didn't think she was the only one who was going to catch a body at the end of all this, but
Yeah, right. I was not expecting her to have a body count by the end of this, which is like, wow, all right. I guess she. But yeah, it's like, man, I don't just the character. Like, look, Tiger and Bunny, like,
they're still good, but like
they're
they leave
still
us with
good,
the worst supporting cast.
But yeah, they're given nothing to work with, and the final fight in the season is like Chell. Does it not feel weird that the last fight is basically a bunch of dudes with broken arms, like limply, like shoving each other around and falling over? Like, it's the most pathetic, sad-looking fight in the world.
They drag it out for like an
so
episode
long.
and a half of people
Yeah.
just with like broken limbs trying to nudge each other.
Yeah, and it's
for
like
the final
you could
battle.
you could do something with the premise of these heroes, even with their bodies broken, their spirit, keeps fighting.
You can do that
But,
like one time, right?
not for like 2 episodes in
Yes.
a row. Like, it feels like a pro wrestling match where like Kotetsu is like gets knocked down at the beginning of the episode, and 17 minutes later he's still on the ground, be like, I'm trying to get
Right.
up. Like, they occasionally cut to him trying to get up and then falling back down. It's like, oh my god, just get it over with. Oh my,
It's really
like
bad.
I could have almost have forgiven it if we had at least gotten one last cool Tiger and Bunny like double punch super attack
right.
or something. But like, we don't even get that. It's like
So, are you telling me you are willing to tolerate bad plot and stupid characters as long as the main characters get to do their cool signature move? Have you heard of a franchise called Kamen Rider?
really? Tell me more about
Fair
these
enough.
cool final attacks.
Yeah. No, it was. I think the final, like, just pull my hair out, face palm, whatever, was they try to like make the bad guys sympathetic at the very end.
Right, because it's revealed that Mads Mikkelsen adopted these twins when they were out on the street and had nobody else, and how he like gave them a home and a family and a sense of belonging. And it's like, you're still killing people. Like,
right,
you're
you're pulling this ass pull out like literally as they're dying, right?
yeah.
Like, they've been like all the damage has already been done. We don't care at this point.
Like,
Like,
Kotetsu literally pulls a, you guys are weird, but you sure were the strongest
No,
opponents
they
we
killed
ever
a lot
fought.
of people.
And it's like, Kotetsu, what are you doing? Like, I mean, I know he's got his hero. Look, Kotetsu has always been the most guilty of the whole, like, if you kill the villain, you become just like them. But,
Right.
like, come on, dude. Like, he literally, like, the twins literally, like, grab one of the heroes in this fight, and, like, one of them, like, stretches out the hero's arm, and the other curb stomps the hero's elbow backwards. Like, and Kotetsu's like, and Kotetsu's talking to these guys like it was a good sparring match. Like,
Right. One final stupid thing. So that one of the twins' powers is that he can like absorb energy and then reverse it back to you as an attack, right? That's why he's so unstoppable. So the heroes figure this out and they stop attacking him. So his brother just pulls out a gun and starts shooting him.
Right. Yes.
And I'm like, we've proven guns are actually pretty effective on these heroes. Why didn't you just shoot the guy?
I mean, that's
Yeah,
not stupid.
right?
That's smart.
Oh man, like
It's just like it's so like, I feel like so little thought was put into how to construct this fight. It
yeah,
was just
no,
like,
it really truly.
it's like
does
here's
feel...
it was just taking a bunch of action hero dolls and throwing them in a pile and smashing them together.
Except
right?
that would be fun if at least the smashing the dolls into each other looked good and was entertaining.
Right. But it
And
was
was
just
the
like
dolls
literally
you liked, and
was
not
great.
the dolls that like are piled up in the bargain bin selection of Toys R Us.
Stop
Nobody's
talking about
buying...
Thunderbolt Fantasy G.
Nobody's buying Mr. Black toys, all right? Nobody's buying He Is Thomas figures. I guarantee you those are shelf warmers.
Mhm.
I literally saw the Mr. Black figure arts going on sale on HLJ.
Who's
the other
gonna
day.
buy that?
Nobody's buying
Mr.
that.
Black sucks.
Can't wait to
Yeah,
pick
it's-
up my He Is Thomas Funko Pop for cheap from like a GameStop in
Oh.
5 months.
Half price at GameStop, right? Yeah, no.
Christ.
So, I mean, perhaps the worst part of all is that we have another block of episodes, which they set up at the end of this
Yes.
with yet another equally cartoonish, ridiculous villain.
Yes.
We don't know anything about him really, other than they tried to inject him with this superhero serum stuff.
Yeah.
And he just ended up murdering everybody. And he looks like the most, like, I don't know, G, how would you describe him? Like,
he's just like the most cliche bad guy, like escaped convict. Like he's got long shaggy hair and a beard and angry sunken eyes, and he's got a grimace, and he's like, he, I love murder.
I sure love murdering, yep. And there's just like, I am so not looking forward to any more of this.
I'm just, at this point I'm almost like, I don't know, like
the only like potential like, because they're probably gonna do the same thing they always do now at this point, because it's been around long enough where we have the pattern, right? We're gonna take a break.
Do another 6 episodes of like fun slice of life office comedy filler.
Right. We did get the dramatic bit at the end when the director burns his dissolution of the buddy system folder, so that we know that we're keeping everybody together. And we'll probably have a couple fun episodes at the beginning of next season before we get back to the hot garbage of the plot. And I don't know, man.
I wish Tiger and Bunny could figure it out. I really do, because I think back to those early episodes, freaking the PP water and Golden Ryan thinks that Blue Rose is going to team up with Kotetsu and forces Barnaby to spy with him, or like Fire Emblem and like
I feel
worrying
like
he's not good enough for Sky High. It's like, it's just the show. It's like the writers have such a good like natural understanding of like fun, likable, natural dialogue, except when they feel like they need to introduce conflict, and then it all falls apart.
If they even get like remotely serious, it just doesn't work. And like I feel like I just, what kind of diminishes any hope with me is I feel like they set out to make like a superhero inspired anime, and in the process they stumbled upon those things that we think are good, but I don't think they intended necessarily for that to be the good part.
Man, that's always the fear, right? Is that the anime you thought they knew what they were doing?
I don't think they know
they were doing it on accident.
I don't think they know what their strengths are, is what I'm trying to say. Like, man. I feel like they're like, yeah, we're making a superhero anime. There's gonna be big battles and all this stuff, and I'm like, you would actually be better served to just make this an office comedy, right?
Yeah,
like that would be, that's your strong point. But I don't think there's ever going to see it that way, because I don't think that's the mission statement of Tiger and Bunny, right?
I think we should move on, but the last thing I will say, Jel, do you remember that one segment in like the penultimate episode where like the two twins are like kicking He Is Thomas while he's on the ground? And it's just like the worst looking CG animation I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure I remember what you're talking about.
Like it's like Golden Kamui CG bear levels of bad.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
It looks, you know what? Actually no. Gel, do you know what that animation looked like of them kicking He Is Thomas? It looked like the same level quality of CG animation as what you get from those deranged mobile ads we've been talking about lately.
Yes.
Like it's that.
Yes.
Like kick He Is Thomas and then harvest Thomas's bones to build a fort, and then use that fort to build.
Yes, it's from the Tiger and Bunny mobile game, right?
Come and play, my lord.
Yeah. But yeah, yes. I think that's
don't let your wife
Tiger
catch you playing this. We need to move on.
Yes. Well, speaking of mobile game ads.
Yes.
Oh.
All right. Let's talk about Anime of the Year, Birdie Wing Golf Girl Story.
Motherfucking Wing.
All thanks to the gods of anime that season 2 was announced.
Hell yes.
It will be returning in January, so it's going to be a long 6 months waiting for that. But I will say that with this final stretch of episodes, my opinion would be very different had they not announced season 2.
I mean, it literally doesn't end. It
I mean, even
like
before,
a lot of
like,
shows this
so
season.
I guess
even
my point
have a
was,
next episode preview. Like,
yeah. I guess my point is, even before we got to the ending, we kept saying there's no way this is one season, right? Like, we kept saying that because, the second half does dial down. They go to golf school, and it does kind of dial down the ridiculousness a bit, right? Like. And I would have been disappointed if they wrapped it up there, which obviously they didn't. But I'm just saying, I can tolerate that because if we're gonna pace this over the course of 24 episodes or something, then yes.
Right.
That said,
this last episode also literally just ends. Like, it just...
Yeah, they're
Yes.
still in the middle of the tournament.
I was just
like,
saying. I guess
it's
I was
not even like a thematically conclusive place to end. It's just it ends.
That would
Yeah.
imply Birdie Wing has themes.
I was just thinking in the whole like back half, like I was getting a little concerned. Like, is this all we're getting? Like,
Right.
Is it? And
But-
I would have been disappointed if that were the case, which it isn't.
Yeah. But, you know,
But-
it is that thing of, like, even if it is a weird place to end, I think the strengths of that show still come through, even at the end, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think I really, truly love, and I don't know if, like, domestic Japanese, like, people and writers are, like, aware of this phenomenon, or if the writer is and is specifically leaning into it when writing Eve. But I truly do love that Eve, once she comes to Japan, is, in fact, just written as like the personal embodiment of the Gaijin smash mindset of just here
She's,
comes
yeah.
this American just going wherever she wants because she has no clue about Japanese like customs
Social norms.
or
Casually
cultural
kissing
norms.
people.
Right, I'm just gonna kiss people and I'm gonna tell people I'm going to kill them in golf. I'm
That
gonna
is
wear weird clothes wherever I go. I'm just gonna
I think-
ask girls out on dates. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm just gonna, I'm bored, so I'm gonna go ask some girls out on dates.
I need money,
It's-
so I'm gonna go ask these girls out
yeah,
on a date.
you know, and it's just like there's something unbelievably deranged about how Eve behaves in Japan. That like, you know, we're just so used to watching anime and anime characters who tend to be Japanese that like even a lot of ways, as insane and deranged as she is, almost feels like maybe the most realistic portrayal of a
She is
of a foreigner in Japan.
she's the perfect embodiment of the female himbo. Not a bimbo, a female
I was about to
himbo.
say.
Yes, there's a difference.
No,
Yeah.
there's a clear difference between a bimbo and a female himbo.
Okay, see, I was about to go the other way around and say that Eve is the personal embodiment of the Stacy,
Right.
who is often considered the female
The
counterpart
Chad,
to the
yes.
Chad, the Giga Chad, is the Giga Stacy.
Right.
Um,
Yes, whether she's powering through the golf course or powering through all the girls at school with her sexuality. Yes, she's just dominating everything. But yeah,
it does make me wonder if, like, especially. It can't just be me, right? Because, I mean, obviously the subtext has been here this whole show, right? I'm gonna penetrate you with my rainbow bullet, etc., etc. Does it feel like in the last episode, it's like they were just like, fuck it, let's just
Yes.
ratchet the
Oh, no, they
knob
dialed it
all
up.
the way up?
they
like-
dialed it up. Yeah.
Like, I'm practically have expecting Eve is just gonna say in season 2, like, I'm going to fuck you in golf.
Yeah,
Like-
if we win this match to motivate Aoi, right? Like,
One could even argue that Eve is the embodiment of the more libertine Western approach to sexuality, whereas these traditional onesama girls high school ladies who are like the rivals in this episode, and she swoops in and destroys their puritanical view of lesbian sexuality needs to be kept in the closet, and it needs to be all flowery languages and class S and onesama, and she's just gonna swoop on in and kiss her girlfriend and kill people in golf, and it's all just a message about how Japan needs to learn from the libertine society of the West.
we've discovered the true meaning of Birdie Wing.
Happy Pride Month!
Happy
God,
Pride
just-
to them.
What an utterly delightful show from start to finish. I mean, I think we all maybe wished it had kept up the energy of the Mafia arc, but I think that once, even here in Japan, even now that she's at, you know, golf school and in this tournament, I do think they have found ways to keep it delightfully entertaining, you know, even if the stakes are way lower, and, you know, the PV for season 2 does show the Mafia lady. So,
Yeah, we'll be getting back to that.
I
for
do
sure.
hope, because we have had 2 very distinct Birdie Wings in this season, I do hope we get 2 more very distinct Birdie Wings. Kind of like
Alright.
how how Great Pretender had like 4 different arcs, not all of them were good, but
Could you imagine if the next season airs in January and this U15 girls tournament just ends in the first episode?
yeah,
Right.
And it's just like,
kill
alright,
everyone,
Eve,
and
what's
then-
next?
and
Yeah.
then they go to like Siberia or
golfing in
something.
the United Arab Emirates.
Oh god.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
alright, I got 2 things I gotta ask you guys since we're here. I need you guys to put this to paper.
Okay.
Alright. So first, in the PV for season 2, 2 firearms are shown in the PV. A
Yes.
shotgun and a rifle. And now we have seen firearms portrayed in Birdie Wing before, mainly in the revolver used to symbolize Eve loading the bullet, her
Yeah.
rainbow bullet. So one
don't
could
forget
assume
the gun that kills Rose.
you're right, and the RPG that kills the politician. Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
So we have had both literal and metaphysical.
And metaphorical guns.
You could
Yes,
say
metaphorical
that
guns.
people both get killed in golf and in real life.
Yes.
Yes.
So those 2 guns in the PV. Now one could look at those and be like, maybe those are metaphorical guns meant to represent Eve's golfing. What if
Okay.
one of those guns is a metaphorical gun and the other is just
Yeah,
a
no.
real gun?
My
and the
prediction, because there's a shotgun and a sniper rifle. I think
Yeah.
the shotgun is going to be metaphorical, perhaps
Okay.
for the
Is
top
the
girl
mafia-
who
Is the
top
mafia
girl who has
going?
been revealed to be the trained by Aoi's father, and
Ah,
then
yes.
I think the sniper rifle is going to be the mafia coming after.
Yeah, is the mafia going
After
to
Eve.
try and kill Eve during the
Try to
U15
kill
till-
Eve.
I think
and that's
I think
that's
I'd-
how the caddy girl's going to die.
Oh my
Bullet.
god!
She's going to take a bullet
No,
for Eve.
not her!
She's going to see the red dot. She's going
Oh,
to see the red
shit.
dot and take the bullet. That's
I
how.
was joking about this earlier when the preview aired, but I'm putting down that somebody will fire a gun and somebody will hit a golf ball to deflect the bullet, like Vash
Yes.
Stampede.
Oh man.
I don't know, but if
I
if
hope
Caddy
so.
Girl dramatically dies in Eve's arms, that would elevate the show to like masterpiece.
Or like what if so like we have like the begrudging friendship developing between the 2 caddies. What if they both have
Right.
to sacrifice themselves in some way?
I
too?
do-
I
Oh
feel
my
like
god.
I feel like they're gonna die somehow. It's like, I
Oh
don't know why.
jeez.
I-
a double kill.
In seriousness, I think the guns are like Eve will have to get her mid-season upgrade, and she'll upgrade from like only a revolver to just like every shot is a different gun.
Type of gun.
Yeah.
Alright.
That's what I think.
Just rainbow
like,
machine gun.
I was trying to shoot. Like I was a fool. I was trying to hit the mark with my revolver. What I really need is this rifle.
All right,
Or
I'm
the
gonna-
rifle
I'm-
shot.
Or what if Aoi also becomes like a master
starts
of
golfing
the
more like
rainbow
Eve?
bullet? Yeah.
Oh man.
And she gets like a sniper rifle because she's more precise or something like that.
I'm gonna put out another trailer speculation here. We do see what appears to be a young version of Eve,
Uh-huh.
and
Yes.
there's somebody talking in Eve's head.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is this a flashback, or is that the next clone of Eve that's gonna be raised to take her
Right.
out?
Eve too.
Oh man. Alright, so
Yeah,
here's
they took
what
you
I
know,
was
they took the rib out and they made it an Eve, and
Oh my
Yes.
Oh
they're
my
gonna keep
god!
making more Eves.
Yes.
Oh my god, dude, that's actually. Oh my god, Eero, if that's actually what they pull off, like that if Eve was created from the rib of Adam, and Eve 2 was created from the rib of Eve 1.
Yeah.
What if Eve 2 is called Lilith?
Oh my god! Alright, fine. The last thing I was gonna say that, based on that
Third
trailer,
impact, baby!
is the trailer perhaps implying that rather than being siblings or clones or whatever, were Eve and Aoi switched at birth?
Oh, that could also be a possibility.
The Princess Principal special.
Like,
Yeah. That could be.
is Eve the true heir to the Athena dynasty, and that reveal's gonna happen, and that's gonna both shock Aoi because now she doesn't know who she is anymore, and Eve's gonna be like, but that's not who I am. Like, I grew up on the streets. I'm not.
we know
you're
some-
not
we-
my mom.
We do have the one shot of them parting in the rain, right?
Yeah,
On
right?
the rooftop. So
I
something's
don't know,
gonna
man.
happen.
I get the feeling that if there was a twist like this, Eve would just go be like Well, whatever, man. Suck my dick in gold.
Well, I mean, Eve would be that way, but Aoi might not be.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I mean, the easy prediction for the raining rooftop scene is the Eve. Aoi is actually in love with Eve, and Eve is just using her for her own benefit, which they kind of maybe imply in the final episode, right?
That or Eve is actually a replicant who has gained sentience and needs to be put down, and she's gonna talk.
Oh, there is the thing where she has
She
like
has
some
the
kind of
scar
like
on her head.
yeah, and there's a thing in the trailer where she has like a shock moment, almost like Rose.
Oh my
did.
god.
I've seen
So, like-
things you people would never believe.
Wait,
This-
are we gonna do the thing of like Eva's never actually suffered a bodily injury in her life, and so the first time she like breaks a limb or her skin gets like scraped off, and she finds robo parts underneath.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities.
Oh man.
I mean,
crazy.
that would be within fake Char Aznable's modus operandi, right? Whenever one of my pupils is defect, I will replace whatever part does not fit with robot parts.
Yeah,
Man, I
the
just
possibilities.
can't wait for 2023, the year in which the world of golf gets rained in a hail of bullets.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, think about it this way.
My prediction is that Coach Amuro is a bad guy and Coach Char is actually a good guy. Like, they do the role reversal.
I could see. Well, I
Well, they've
think
already given Amuro the sympathetic anime
disease, yeah.
right? Like he's on borrowed time here. I don't
Yeah.
know. It could happen though. Well, with this split, we can now say that Birdie Wing is Anime of the Year 2022 and 2023. So that's
Yep,
possible.
congratulations.
And introduce our
Wing-
newest feature from now on. Every podcast, we're going to talk about our Birdie Wing speculation for half an hour.
This could no, but it could be this would be our first back-to-back Anime of the Year.
I feel like we say that every year, and always something happens that
Yeah.
like breaks the curse. Like we were. Need I remind you about how confident we were in Ranking of Kings last year?
No, that was different because we didn't vote for Ranking of Kings last year. I
Yeah,
feel like we could vote for Birdie Wing this year because of the split.
Right.
But yeah, poor Ranking of Kings.
Well, all right. Well, anyways, we should probably move on to the next show
Yeah.
here.
Let's talk about Aharen-san Is Indecipherable, which
Was it indecipherable?
no, it was very, very decipherable. Okay. Yes. No, the ending of this was very sweet and somewhat predictable, which is fine.
Sure.
Pretty much sums up this show, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if I was
guess-
expecting
yeah.
the full blown. We talked about last time they went the full confession route, like, which was great, and. Like I said, everything went back to status quo. They did not drop the whole, like, are they dating thing, though. It then became, like, they're at status quo, but everyone else around them is, like, are they dating? What's going on?
And it turns out them dating is just them going about their daily business. Like...
Yeah, pretty much. And they still do. They get a couple good more jokes in, like, so they go on a date to, like, the mall. And one of the main jokes is... the main guy, Rido, like he'll see something and like he has like a very overactive imagination and he'll come up with like the most like ridiculous explanation in his head, which then ends up being wrong. It's just like, normal thing or whatever. So they go to the mall and he sees a sign for a Beyblade tournament. And he's like, oh
what?
man,
Let her rip.
Beyblade tournament. And
All right.
like, he's like, oh man, I wonder if Aharen wanted to go to the mall because she's secretly a Beyblade champion and she wants to join this tournament. And he like has this whole like montage in his head of her like winning a Beyblade tournament and everything. And so they go to the mall and like do normal mall stuff. And then she's finally like, okay, it's time. And she is finally, one of his crazy theories was correct. She was there to enter the Beyblade tournament and she wins the tournament.
Excellent.
So that was pretty good. But no, they kind of wrap it up for the closest thing that would pass for drama in the show. It's not even really drama. They're still kind of playing it for laughs. Was Haren's friend, who's kind of like the only actual other character in this show.
Right. Her like super protective friend.
Yes, her like super protective friend or whatever. So when they had the confession at the camp, like it wasn't really clear to everybody what happened, but from her perspective, she thought that Raido broke her heart. And so after the camping thing, Raido starts noticing, I haven't seen her around. I wonder where she is. And they kind of keep hinting at that for like 2 or 3 episodes, right? And then finally at the end of the penultimate episode after the credits, they show her friend like off in a dojo training with a sword and like cutting things up. And she's like, I'm going to murder Raido.
All right.
For breaking her friend's heart, right? And so she comes back in the final episode to confront Raido, and she's like armed to the teeth, and she's like, well, I was going to challenge you in a duel, but I would just murder you. You wouldn't stand a chance. So let's play Othello or Reversi or whatever you want to call it. So which is a game they've periodically played throughout the game.
Which is like a running gag in
the series,
show.
right?
Yeah.
So they play that for the fate of whatever, and it's funny. They clear up the misunderstanding that in fact the part where they had the confession and they like showed their mouth moving without the dialogue. They kind of go back and kind of show what they actually said, which is, Aharen tried to confess, and then when she couldn't, Raido picked up on it, and then he decided to confess himself, and all was good. And everybody ends up happy in the end. They've made new friends. They have a final kind of sweet moment where they kind of talk about how much they like each other in a way that, like, I feel like in a lot of anime romance, like the romance is very superficial. Like,
yes,
I like you because you picked up my handkerchief one time or whatever, right? And
we are in love because we are the designated main character.
What's the classic line? Like, because you were nice to me or something?
Yes, you showed me some basic human decency, and
Don't come to school tomorrow.
I've been in love with you, right? And no, they actually have like legitimate reasons for liking each other, right?
Sure.
And like that has been expressed throughout the course of the 12 episodes. So in a way, it's like
also a strength of a show we'll talk about later.
Well,
yes. Oh, we'll get into that. But in a way, on paper, it's very simple and straightforward and perhaps predictable. But at the same time, I feel like that level of relationship is extremely rare in anime,
right?
To where you have like a legitimate relationship that's been there from day one, and not just like we are together because of plot reasons because we said so, right?
Right. I guess the question, Gel, is like, does a hypothetical Aharen-san season 2 have the meat, the content to justify, like?
I would watch it.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think it's a good, I'd be happy to have more, but I'm also happy to not have more.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
Which is perhaps your ideal ending for an anime that does not have a season 2 planned.
Right. A take it or leave it, right? Kind of a...
it's like, I'd watch more of it. That'd be fine, but I also feel like this was a very appropriate place to...
Sure. Okay.
To stop. The concept of it is evergreen enough where they get into, wacky hijinks that are so random that you could keep that going forever.
Right.
Because they're not leaning on, if we're going to compare to Kaguya-sama. and this is not a negative comparison on Kaguya,
right.
But because they're not leaning on a build up to a big confession, like that becomes like an evergreen.
Right.
The show does not have a plot in the same way that Kaguya-sama.
Right.
They could get into like whatever random weird hobby next week, and it would just be still fun, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, more simply than that, I was even just commenting on like you say that Aharen-san's cast is not particularly large, so like, I guess it's like that thing of like, is the core cast like solid? And, like, do they have enough of a good rapport? Is there enough like interesting things they can do to keep it fresh and interesting?
I mean, in some ways, they could even just bring in more cast members, right? Like, there's room for that. But I think because the nature of the show is that they could just go off and do literally any random thing, right? Like, you could just keep that going forever, and it would be fun. But thematically and where they left off with their relationship, it's a good place to stop as well. So,
I mean, this is definitely like one of those shows that has like a title and premise that makes you think, oh, the show has one joke, but then it turns out to have way more jokes.
Right.
Like-
It is one. It's technically one joke, but that one joke can be spun in like an infinite number of
Right.
ways. Right. Yeah.
Not
So-
unlike Kaguya-sama.
Yes. Perhaps
And
not.
hold
unlike-
on, we got a show in between we got to get to.
Yeah. So while that show ended well, I don't know if I can say the same for ya Boy Kongming.
Pour one out for the peerless tactician.
Um,
He couldn't say. Look, let's be real. Zhuge Liang, courtesy name Kongming, the peerless tactician of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. If I'm being very honest about his appraisal, he lost a lot of battles. I mean, he arguably lost the war he was tasked with winning.
That is
So-
true.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you here, Chief. His plan in this show was not very good.
And maybe, and where I'm going with this is that the real Kongming, struggled to salvage some really bad situations for Shu during the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Like, despite his tactical acumen, you can only do so much when you only have so much. And
Yeah.
maybe that's the perfect metaphor for your boy Kongming, is that Kongming himself can be the funnest, most likable, charismatic character in this show. And
Then they
that's
can take him
just
off screen for 6 episodes.
well, first of all, yes, they do that, and also even when he is on screen, it sometimes feel like it's just not enough to save this show.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw this kind of coming, but I think, for me personally anyway, I was willing to give it a lot of slack as we entered the second half, because I liked the first half so
Yeah,
much.
same.
Yeah.
And so, like, when we started to drag a little bit in the middle, I'm like, all right, well, they're it seems like they're building up to something, right? And then they kind of don't.
Yeah, the
really
thing they
build up to
build up is
anything.
just like, we'll have a song that's better than the other song.
Right, like it's that thing of like, it's that thing of like, they even hint that Kongming actually has a more sinister backup plan.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I want this to go full, like, evil, edgy Kongming, he's cutthroat, he'll do anything to win, but I kind of think it would have been, even if it was played for laughs, I think this would have been a more fun show if we had gotten a little bit more of that flavor of Kongming, the win at all costs Kongming.
And
Right.
in a way, like, even what he does pull is still kind of like, it's a little suspect, but and yeah, I mean, like, we really didn't get any Kongming at all for most of the second half, right? So, like,
yeah, totally.
a lot of the second half was just a straightforward Eiko working on her song, trying to, build up her confidence. I still don't know why Kabe Taijin was there.
We
I
hired
think-
Kabe for
we
2
literally
discs for
hired-
90 seconds.
Yes, it's like this whole idea that, like, as much as I liked, the rap battle, in hindsight, it is insane that Kongming suggested that we should spend 3 to 4 episodes on recruiting this rapper so that he can record a 90-second diss track in the
Yeah,
last episode.
I can't believe
like-
we got Kabitaji into Mom Spaghetti Baby Metal here.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
like, are you really telling me that Kongming couldn't have, like, found a dude on Fiverr to show up that day and drop some bars? Like,
Yeah.
if all you need from the bars is that they're disrespectful,
yeah.
that's... look, I'm not gonna say that's not hard, but if all you need is a disrespectful rap, not a good rap, like, there's a lot of
Yeah.
guys you can find on TikTok who can help you with that.
I felt like the second half it was like fine, and then I actually really didn't like the ending. Like, the final battle I thought was
weird.
really dumb
Right.
and, like,
Yeah,
kind of like
I-
very, like, I don't know, like it was very. It did not feel very well thought out at all, which
The
is
thing
very
is,
strange for.
I think the final battle especially suffered from a problem that I like to call the Tenacious D problem. In that, you have a song that is portrayed in universe as the best song ever.
Yes,
But you
yes.
can't actually
I
play
talked about
the
this-
song.
Yes.
I talked about
because
this
then
last
you would
time.
have to write the best song ever.
Yeah, I talked about this last time, how, like, yeah, with that, and it's very bad in here because what's her name, the fake band plays their song,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Azalea.
which is just like, generic pop song.
What
And
I
then-
do like is that they gave the like shitty sellout commercial idols like the fake metal sound that
Yeah.
so many idols have nowadays.
Yeah,
Huh,
but
yeah.
then they go to Aiko's song and like this is equally bland and boring. Like,
Yes.
Right, it's the Carol and Tuesday problem. Like
Right.
if you
Carol
had
and-
told me this was the bland,
Right.
boring pop song, I would have believed you.
right, like
if you
Carol
had
and
flipped them.
Tuesday, the characters were supposed to write a pop song that was heartfelt enough to end like anti-immigration policy.
Right.
And it's like, you can't. But here's a problem: you didn't hire someone good enough to write a song so good it could end anti-immigration policy.
And
Well,
that's kind
right,
of
and also,
that's
like, that
kind of
song
showing
doesn't
because
exist,
Carol and
right?
Tuesday did have good songwriters.
And I mean that's
Yeah.
a song that just doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, well, yes, of course.
but
I don't know,
even, like,
man. Imagined by John Lennon when all those celebrities sang it. That ended
Oh,
the COVID
God.
pandemic.
Oh god. But even putting the music aside, like the whole like just concept of the last battle with pulling up the truck and everything just felt
Right.
really like lazy to me. Like just like, which is strange because like I'm expecting, oh, Kongming has some kind of big master plan or something, and I'm like, his master plan was to just pull a truck up and
So this is
Right.
a
have
common
Aiko dress as a
issue.
3-star Arknights character on stage.
Right,
and,
I did.
uh,
Yes. I like. Yeah. What would Aiko's Arknight's code name be? Like microphone,
something, sure.
waffles.
waffles.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the first random word that came to
But,
mind.
yeah, no,
Uh,
it's like it's the thing that I think we can. It is actually a fairly noticeable thing in a lot of fiction, right? Like you see it in Code Geass or in Death Note, or hell, even occasionally in Legend of the Galactic Heroes, right? Of like you have a character who is written to be a genius, but the writer themselves is not a genius.
Yes.
So the scope of what your fictional genius is capable of is only as far as what your writer is capable of coming up with.
Right.
But I feel like even like the
So you either made the character a genius. Sorry for interrupting. You either make the characters a genius by making everyone else really stupid, or you make them a genius by having them know things they can't possibly know. And then when people ask, "How do you know that?" they're like, "Oh, but I'm a genius."
Right.
Like,
but I feel like even the stunts that he pulled earlier, while not like clever, they were so ridiculous and so much of a
Yes.
stretch that it was fun. Whereas this was just like, oh, he put the different QR code up to steal the likes.
Right.
Wow.
Mhm.
Like
Oh, he
at
got-
that point,
the
Ko-
NFT
like,
scam too.
like right, like if that's the level Kongming is acting on in this show, he might as well have just hired a Russian bot farm
Right. Yeah.
to
Like
get him 100,000 likes. Like,
right. I mean that, and like this is how you disrespect the Battle of Red Cliffs.
right.
So I don't know. It's just like I feel like they had this really fun idea for this series, and then it was like, oh wait, we have to actually write it.
Yes.
And
Oops.
actually executing it is not as easy as it sounds. And
Also-
in some ways they were kind of hitting. They found a good balance in the beginning where they were kind of skirting around the problems we're talking about by like not trying to come up with the most brilliant genius plan or write the best song. It was just like somehow they managed to like avoid that by like, you know, the plans were kind of just ridiculous.
Right,
and so
you
that
lean
was-
into the absurdity more than anything else.
right, and not
Like
like,
these-
oh,
like,
this is
you-
actually a genius plan, right?
Right, like you lean into plans that would actually never work in real life, but by dint of it being a plan made by the peerless tactician,
Right.
they somehow work, and it's
Also,
in
fun
the-
from that
in the
perspective.
first half, you could still accept the premise that Aiko didn't have to be the greatest singer in the world. The joke was that Kongming thought she was because she was the first
Right.
thing he heard when
And
he
was
was
right.
isekai'd.
And then
And
then
that
it was
makes
like,
it
oh
fun.
wait, and then it was like, oh wait, that wasn't a joke. You were
Yeah,
serious.
and then they actually play it straight.
In
the
a lot of
second
ways,
half.
yeah, Boy Kongming ended up being a lot more. It ended up being a much better fit for PA Works than I think we initially.
Yeah.
Yes. It ended up being closer to your traditional PA Works working women show.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do have to say, I liked the episode about Nanamin's backstory because it showed some of the nuance in the whole indie versus sellout debate.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, it's.
But
it's- I
then
mean,
later on, when they execute their plan against her, it comes across as like weirdly mean-spirited towards Nanami
Yes.
and Azalea. Like, at some points, it's basically like they're pretty much like calling her out for being like a sellout and being like even like vaguely slut shamey about, oh, you're wearing this revealing outfit.
right.
And that sort of contradicts the nuance that they had in that backstory episode.
Right, because
No,
in the
totally.
backstory they were trying to establish
Right.
why.
And here
You
it's
gotta-
almost as if like Nanami made a mistake and has to repent
Right.
for it. Like,
And it kind of sucks because like lots of artists sell out
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
being an artist is fucking rough and doesn't pay the bills a lot. So like
Yeah.
yeah,
most artists would love to jump at the chance to sell out, honestly.
right.
Yeah.
And again,
Well-
it's like whether regardless of how you feel about that, it should have been at least a sympathetic position to take, right? Like,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then Kongming's plan hinges on basically psychologically destroying her, right?
Right.
So it doesn't quite add up thematically with that. Oh, Kongming,
yeah.
you almost had it. You
Well,
almost had it.
you know, Kongming will always have a solid job, you know, being a wizard in Dynasty Warriors. So, you know,
Yes.
he'll never be out of work. That's for sure.
And in Fate
Yeah.
Grand Order.
Oh God.
Let's,
I mean,
he's
let's
also
move
a
All
wizard
right,
there.
let's
Fate.
move on. Back to the good anime.
Yeah. So let's talk about Kaguya-sama Love is War.
Dude,
Ultra
fucking
romantic.
Kaguya-sama. What?
So
The
okay,
ultra romantic plan. The plan was called
Let-
Plan Ultra Romantic.
that was a great title drop. Let me say this to start.
The face on my chest is just for decoration.
You know what I was talking
That's
about
for all
last.
you Kamen Rider fans out there.
I was talking about last time with Aharen-san how I like romances that are natural and there's really no confession necessary. It just happens. And while I do enjoy that, and perhaps that's my preference, if you're not going to go that route,
Kaguya,
perhaps
like
the best route is to make it the most like over the top, hour-long,
Miyuki
ridiculous.
Shirogane's music. By God, that's Miyuki Shirogane's music. He's running in. He's got the He's got the briefcase. He's cashing in the money in the bank. By God, he's not even supposed to be in this wrestling match.
I understand where you're coming from, Jel, but
He's got
also
the chair.
like, the act of the confession is at the center of this show's entire
Right,
premise.
Yes,
Like,
that's what I'm
it had
saying.
to be.
is-
It had to be tremendous and insane and
Right.
absolutely marvelous, and I love it. It's so theatrical.
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
of
Let's go to the
course.
opposite
Like,
end of the spectrum, and it's great.
Right.
Yes.
like Shirogane's confession could be nothing but something this fucking ridiculous. And
yes.
I'm glad it lives up. I'm glad they made it live up to the hype. Like, I really do think. I think. Jel, you and I, have been talking about it ever since like freaking season 2, right? Like, well, whenever this confession happens, it's got to be like
Yeah.
the thing, right?
Yep.
I mean,
And,
shout out to this show for starting off as two characters who are too proud to confess to one another, escalating to a point where in season 3 they're basically just telling each other "I love you" every other sentence, to the
Also,
point, and then
like,
they have to come back to like, oh wait, we actually have to make this confession a big
Yes.
thing because
Also,
we're too
like,
proud.
both of
Like,
them just like completely mentally disassociating by the end.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and again, it's like, maybe it's time for more like Gel and G awkward high school stories, but it's like you can feel the manicness in their confessions because of clearly how like this is what happens when you confess to a girl, right? Is like you're practically not even in your right mind anymore. Like you are
Yeah.
operating almost on pure adrenaline at that point. Like
I'd say it gets worse the longer you wait.
oh, that too! I love that part. The part where they specifically said Shirogane's self-awareness was about to kick back
Yes. Yeah.
I was like,
when he
dude.
was starting to realize how like silly this all was.
in. All right, I'm gonna make something.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna talk about something here that is like insanely embarrassing, but also like maybe a moment that high school me is undeniably proud of. Is that for the girl that I invited to my junior year high school prom, I made a painting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
Was
painted.
it of a giant robot?
No, it was a portrait of her, and
Okay.
it took me weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and I gave it to her. She actually said yes, and
Yeah.
on one hand, I'm like, damn, I can't believe I pulled that off. But here's the thing: I had to stand around in my high school with that painting it wouldn't fit in my locker, so I had to carry the painting all day because I couldn't
you're starting
get a
to have
chance to talk to her.
You're
And
starting to have the second
thoughts.
Second
I-
thoughts.
I was literally about to throw this painting over the fence into the freeway. And it took a very good friend to be like, you have to do this. You have come this far.
It's too late now, man.
It is too late. It is do or die. Either she is going to love it and be deeply charmed and say yes, or you are going to become the laughing stock of the school for the next year. But do or do not. There is no motherfucking try.
Yeah.
And
that's yeah. No, they captured that feeling here.
they exactly captured that feeling of like
Shirogane went all in.
Shirogane went all in a way that is deeply admirable. Like I love people who commit to confessions in this way, like that, because like the type of commitment to it is like deeply admirable, but also the embarrassment is also completely understandable, because to be that sincere, to be that committed to your confession is
It's a high risk.
And the
put
thing
your
is,
most vulnerable self out into the world.
and the thing is, that is what is embarrassing. It's not the fear of getting rejected, because he knows she's gonna say yes. Like,
Yeah.
I get the
It
feeling
does.
like
Yeah, no,
it's-
I mean it is. Yeah, I guess at that point they know the answer, and it's
Right.
they're still clinging to the I need to make the other person say it thing, right?
right.
But
yes.
even so, he does a lot of things that you know,
Right, his whole fucking like Lupin the Third plot like is,
that are very
the-
embarrassing.
and also like I love that he specifically creates a red herring to distract Fujiwara.
Yes.
Because he's like, if I don't do this right, Fujiwara is going to ruin this entire thing.
Well,
like
he pushes off everybody, right? Like
Right.
Eno
Yeah,
and everybody. He has a
Yes,
plan for everyone.
again, shoutouts. Here's you know what, even more to this, right? So we know that with the plot reveal, Shirogane is going to Stanford, right? And not only that, but he's skipping senior year, right? He is getting early admission, right? There's a lot of drama about that, right?
Right.
And I don't know how it goes in the manga, but I fucking love. Like, this might actually be the fucking biggest dicked Giga Chad move I've ever seen in my life. Where Shirogane demands that Kaguya attend Stanford with her. And is like, fuck the studying abroad arc. Fuck the studying abroad drama. You're
Just come
coming
with
with me.
Yeah.
Like, yo! Holy shit! Shirogane, what a Chad! Oh my god. Like any other, a weaker romantic comedy would have milked the whole, oh no, we're going our
And
separate
I
ways.
do feel like this is an interesting time to point out something we kind of touch on a lot, where Ishigami is your more traditional
loser
anime romance protagonist,
Yeah.
and Shirogane is kind of like in his own category. Like,
Yeah.
he's not your typical one, and this is probably a good example.
Yes.
and-
Speaking of Ishigami, now again, Akko, you've
Yeah,
read
let's
the
talk
manga,
about
right?
Yes.
the undercard here.
Okay, I need to say something. Is this
Okay.
now that this confession has happened between Shirogane and Kaguya? Is this the beginning of the Ishigami Bowl?
Yes.
All right, we got Ino, we got Tsubame, and we got Maki.
Yeah.
Like, they are clearly setting up some kind of fucking battle royale for Ishigami's heart here. And
Yeah.
if you had told me that, I think I joked about, like, did I like make a joke at the end of season 2 that I was like, man, once Kaguya and Shirogane confess, it's gonna become the Ishigami harem arc. And
Yeah.
oh my god, are we
Might be
actually entering the
headed in that
Ishigami harem arc?
Direction. Yeah.
Because that
Well-
confession to Tsubame is just ambiguous enough, right?
Right.
Like,
I will say, in real life, if a girl says I need time to think about it, it's probably not a good sign.
oh, you're fucked. No, you're
But
like totally fucked. Like,
but I
never.
guess
no
this
no
is
girl in
anime.
history. Okay, I don't mean to be to make wide assumptions, but I'll just say in
With
my
a broad
experience,
brush.
no
Yes.
girl in the history of any high school dude I have ever known who asked a girl out who said I need to think about it
That never works.
has never
Yeah.
worked out. Never.
Probably the worst, and she also drops with the possibly worse. I never thought about him that way.
I love you like a brother.
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes
so-
that far, because I mean, there is that aspect. I mean, there is that aspect of Tsubame where she's like, I never thought of him that way, but like also, I mean, it feels like they're hinting that she wouldn't mind maybe starting to think of
Yes.
him that way.
But also,
Right.
guys, we have all read stories before. We know Tsubame is not the end game here.
No, but
Like-
damn, she sure should be.
Yeah.
Look, I got my biases here, but look, Ino is. Look, she's a cop, all right. Like, let's be real. Ino's a cop.
She's a good girl.
Maki is deranged, which is kind of appealing in its own way, I guess.
Yeah.
Tsubame is the clear winner of this pack here.
Cool
Like,
Senpai typically wins that fight, right?
but
Yeah. So I guess we should mention that it has been confirmed we will be getting some continuation of the anime. They did not say season 4, but I have a feeling it's
Yeah,
probably
I'm a little-
safe.
It's gonna
To
be season
assume.
4. Like,
It better
whatever
be-
comes next in the manga is not movie material. Like,
okay, sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's safe to assume it will be season 4. All they said is there will
Yeah.
be a new anime project, and they did not.
But hey, you know,
specify.
once
I
again,
find this weird because this seemed
Yeah.
like the perfect time to call it quits,
end it?
even if the manga is still running.
Huh.
Like,
The
I'm
manga's
not saying-
popular.
the manga's only going for another like 3 months. Or
Yeah.
something.
but I'm not saying the manga gets bad. I'm just saying,
No, but I get what you mean, right? With like
like,
thematically.
yeah,
because
thematically,
if-
this is a good ending point.
Right, because is it the thing of like is it the thing that we were talking about with Legend of the Galactic Heroes? If you continue to adapt the manga past this,
Right now,
Then
you're
you
in
are-
for the long haul.
you are
yeah.
in for the long haul. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
well,
here's the thing, right?
if
Like-
if they are wrapping it up soon, are they going to be able to cover everything in one more season?
No.
Great. Oops. Well. Oh my God. Are we gonna be stuck with Kaguya until like 2025? Jesus
Well,
Christ.
Unless
Is
they
it-
cut some stuff, I guess. I mean,
Is there
this is
any-
also this is the part from which I started the manga. I had caught up with the manga, and it became monthly, so maybe there is way
Huh,
less,
Oh, yeah.
of what I remember there being.
Maybe.
If that makes sense, like
Yeah.
maybe I'm just thinking like, oh, there's this and this and that, and maybe all of that, if you like adapt it all, it's like 3 episodes.
Right.
I don't-
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess once again, it is cool that we have a romantic comedy that has been running for 3 goddamn seasons, and
Yeah, I
we're
was
here
gonna
to be like,
say,
man, I can't
Yeah.
wait for season 4.
can I even
Yeah.
think of another comedy that's gone 4 seasons that's not Gintama? Because Gintama has like 12 seasons, so it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
nothing, man. I don't.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that's gone. 4.
Hidamari sketch.
Did I get 4 seasons?
Yes.
Really? I knew it got like
Yes.
3, but 4? Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so it has joined the prestigious company of Hidamari
I mean,
Sketch.
Hidamari sketch also not really a romantic comedy. Like,
Right.
Well, it's a comedy though. I mean, I would still define that. I would define it as a comedy. Like,
I mean, is it, do Kiwarake shows count as comedies? Let's
Yes.
not go into this. Yeah, I guess.
yes,
I don't know.
I would, and specifically that one, I would count.
All
as
right.
a
Well,
comedy.
comedy in the Greek tradition.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
well, speaking of comedies, I do gotta say, I mean, look, I know just do the reference is like the most basic ass form of
Right.
comedy, but also the ways in which Kaguya-sama in the last few episodes has just, done the reference is
Oh,
maybe
yes.
What is with that
funniest
Planet of
fucking
the
ways.
Apes character? What the fuck is with the Planet of the Apes reference?
Dude, the fucking Resident Evil bit
Yeah,
where like
At least that one
Kaguya,
makes sense.
Kaguya's,
because
like,
they're
running
near
into
a
the wall
haunted
with her-
house.
Kaguya like switches to tank controls and like she's like spinning in place.
to indicate how like out
At
of
least
sorts
that
she
one
is.
makes
yeah.
sense, but what's with the Planet of the Apes one?
Oh man, I
Okay,
don't know.
As the old man here, my favorites were the '80s references. So we had Max Headroom. Look that up, kids.
right.
and,
Shawshank Redemption.
Off-brand take on me.
And yeah,
Oh,
take
yes,
on
yes,
take
Take
on
On
me.
Me.
Aha video reference. It's fantastic.
Shout outs to the reference to the original Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yes.
The part where
Right.
she gets
Charshoots
blasted
Cassilia,
by
yeah.
the laser.
Yeah.
Also,
Yes.
what's with this show and having like off-brand 80s classics in its soundtrack. Like, we had the fake "You Spin Me Round Like a Record."
I think it's just that director's like vibe and aesthetic, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
assume the director is probably around my age or slightly older, and probably that's the references he's pulling from. But yeah, it's great.
It's like, hey, for some reason, I want "You Spin Me Round Like a Record" by Dead or Alive on the soundtrack for this show. If you can't get the rights, just write something that sounds like it.
Just
Yeah,
change 2 notes. Oh,
Make it-
wasn't there
make an
another one?
offbeat cover?
Wasn't
Yeah,
there another one they did too? There were a couple of them where they just like it was literally the same song, but they just
Yeah.
changed like
Yeah,
2 notes.
no, totally.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing.
It's
I just
All
watched
right.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off a couple times too
hell
many.
of a show. Yeah. Also, shout outs to the fact that one last thing. The last episode doesn't have one. It has 2 title drops in the same episode. It has the ultra romantic plan, and then I think literally the fucking last line of the episode is like, Kaguya really does want to be confessed to, or something.
Right.
Which is the subtitle of the whole show.
Maybe the
It's-
true love is war was the friends we made along the way.
It kind of feels like that.
Yeah, right.
But
Oh,
yeah,
it's so
hell
good.
of a show.
Truly the
Speaking of
goat.
hell of a show, man, we got another heavyweight here.
Yeah. So let's talk about Spy Family.
Yeah.
I will offer my perspective as the non-manga reader. We talked about last time meeting Yora's brother,
Right.
which I thought was a bit of a weak stretch. I think it. Okay, let me choose my words carefully here because I don't want to come off sounding
With
like
weak, you mean still pretty good, but with a couple of
Yes.
asterisks. Like,
yeah, I don't want to come off sounding like
Mhm.
I think Spy Family is bad in any way. It's still quite good. I do, but I think everybody kind of agrees that like the Anya bits are the best, right? So like
Right.
taking
Yeah.
her out, but it's not like I don't want Lloyd and Yora content. Like I still want
Right.
Lloyd
Yeah.
and Yora content, but I think the balance of and it has kept a balance of mostly Anya, right? So that's
Yeah.
fine. Another one that ends pretty abruptly, but this has also been
Yes.
confirmed. I think this is only taking 1 season off. So
I mean,
that's
the
fine.
last episode is very weird because
It's gonna be back in fall.
Yeah,
Like,
back in fall, I guess.
they tease an important plot event at the end of the penultimate episode, so you think like, oh, that's what they're gonna do for the finale, and then they do the finale, and it's like the finale is the first episode of season 2,
Yeah, so it
where they have to
definitely
like
feels
re-establish all of the characters and their dynamics.
It,
Like,
it definitely feels like they rearranged episode order or something.
yeah,
However, I think the reason for that is that, what we'll just call the dog arc. I
dog
guess,
arc, yeah.
is lengthy by the standards of Spy Family.
So it's like 3 chapters.
Yeah.
So I said by the standards of Spy Family.
Right.
And could potentially be a 2-parter episode, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, it could be. And so I could see this definitely being a case of, like, just natural adaptation, like, woes, right? Of, like,
Yeah.
oops, this plot doesn't fit into the pacing of a serialized TV show, so we're just going to have to do some creative rearranging. And it's not the end of
Yeah.
the world because Spy Family is a very episodic story.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it almost kind of doesn't matter what order you put some of these school chapters in
Mhm, mhm.
because
Yeah.
it all
Which-
adds up to the same thing.
You could
in the
even
end
take
anyway.
stuff that's like before the dog shows up or after the dog
Yeah.
shows up and
Which-
move it around.
That again makes it weird why they didn't end on a 2-parter with Dog and then did like the final episode as the first episode of season 2 and after that do like the
It's-
dodgeball episode. But
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, again, hey, these sorts of
maybe
things
they'll
are,
fix it on the Blu-ray.
these
Well,
things
no,
are
I
hard.
mean-
It's hard to predict, like, exactly how your pacing's gonna work out.
Yeah.
with such a short break, it's like I don't know if we're gonna care by the time season.
Right,
2
this is
starts,
not.
right?
Yeah.
This is not that we're waiting till January. Like, we're waiting 1 season. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna
you know.
blink and this is gonna be back again.
Yeah.
I hate to say
and
that, but
for that reason, I'm very happy with Spy Family for the most part. I
Oh
think
yeah.
they were given, a home run, like, material to work with, and they hit a home run with it, right? Like, they really nailed all the things that really make it such an appealing and
They
likable
put
show.
they put the ball 5 centimeters away from the hole, gave them a club, and was like, please do it in
just
one
tap
hit.
it in, right?
And
Yeah,
they
it's
did it
Time
in
for
one
my
hit.
green bullet.
The green bullet, yes. Just hit your green bullet into
It's wild because we actually haven't talked about Spy Family because of the way our podcasts are structured, but it's like was Dodgeball literally have we literally not talked about Dodgeball on the podcast? Man, it's been that far back, huh?
Yeah.
Well, shoutouts to Dodgeball, I guess.
Good episode.
Yeah, they're really
Shoutouts to Bazooka Bill and his dad M. Bison.
Yeah. They've really flexed the animation muscle when they need it on this show, right? And the Dodgeball episode was great. That was like a kind of a perfect self-contained Anya's school side story, right? I actually did enjoy the penguin thing in the final episode.
I think it's cute, right? It's the right mix of family hijinks and a little bit of spy hijinks as a spice on top.
With Lloyd getting the big stuffed penguin and doing the voice was pure gold. And yeah, I mean, it's like I kind of almost find it hard to talk about the show because I feel like you just need to watch it, right? Like
it's solid.
It very much.
I mean, the only way you can talk about the show is like, haha, remember that joke? That was really funny, and then you say the joke.
It very much relies on the mood.
I will say that watching these episodes do remind me that Spy Family does a pretty good job of sort of organically developing Lloyd's paternal instinct over the course of this first season, right? He starts off. I mean, he's never he's never cold-blooded, but obviously Lloyd as introduced is mainly for the mission, right? I need a wife and a child for the mission.
Yeah,
and,
right.
I mean, guy literally has no frame of reference outside of being a spy.
Right, and it's stuff like him doing the penguin voice for Anya in the last episode is it's him understanding that to raise a child is more than them getting good grades or doing well in school. To raise a child is to parents do a lot of embarrassing things for their kids. A lot of embarrassing. And kids are deeply embarrassing, right? I'm sure everybody here can probably think of a moment in which they said or did something that embarrassed the shit out of their parents, right? It's and parents, at least good parents, do their best to take it in stride, for the sake of their kids.
That's the job, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that they do a good job of developing that aspect of Lloyd's character over the course of the anime.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, this is another one. I mean, it's kind of cool. Most of our favorite shows here are all continuing.
Are
right?
coming back.
Yeah.
Hooray!
And we want them to.
And all the bad ones are leaving. It really is the best case scenario.
Well, except Tiger and
Christmas
Bunny.
in July.
Well, yeah.
I feel weird calling Tiger and Bunny bad, but it kind of.
The first half was good.
I don't know, man. On balance, I feel like I kind of have to, at least with this block, but.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for spring 2022. So, next up, we've already got new shows coming in for summer.
Yeah. We might have to do the first look post next week.
Yeah, we'll discuss some scheduling or whatever with next episode. I am gonna try to get this episode up. Normally we record on Sunday and I put them up Wednesday. I'm gonna try to have this up for tomorrow.
So all of our hot takes are still a piping hot.
Yeah, since we've already got new shows coming out, I want to try to get this out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So
strike the iron while it's tepid.
while it still has a little bit of warmth.
Make it
left
hot
on
by striking or whatever. Isn't that the bullshit they usually say?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah. So
we are not metallurgy experts here.
We'll be talking about next time. We'll be talking about how G's random pick of Lycoris Recoil as anime of the year actually came true. But we'll save that. So stay tuned. We'll do our housekeeping. Stay tuned at theglorioblog.com, where we'll actually have all of our written first looks up for everything starting tomorrow or something, like pretty soon. And then you can follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and you can check us out on YouTube, where you can comment, subscribe. give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, all that stuff. I always forget saying that. You know, borrow your brothers,
give us a
sisters,
good
and
review. We
parents.
might even read it on air. Maybe.
Use a VPN.
Borrow your family members and friends' devices and hit that 5-star.
This podcast was sponsored by Squarespace.
I don't think we can actually say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call legal on that one.
This podcast is sponsored by
Viewers like
Yeah.
you.
So, all right, well, tell your friends, tell your enemies. We'll catch everybody next time.
Bye.